Time to talk a bit of royal news now with our great friend Russell Myers, of course, the associate editor, the royal editor right now of the Daily Mirror, and he joins us now from merry old England and the Christmas tree in the background. The lovely touches, my friend. I can almost see the snow out the window.
Thank you very much, mate. Well, I can't claim complete credit for it. It was my wife and children beavering away over the weekend. I was merely a spectator in these things, but I fully support their endeavours anyway.
Yeah, Dad's job is to get it out of the garage, to then just stand back, let the chaos happen, and then Dad's job is to deal with it on the other side. I know the feeling. Right, now, what about, from your lips to the King's ears? A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about the fact that King Charles and Camilla, no obvious plans to be coming to Australia, and then as a result, clearly, of our little conversation, bang, they are coming here. And I've got to say, it's not before time. I was surprised, as I said, during the coronation, that Australia was referenced as the realms, along with Canada, New Zealand, all the rest of it. They didn't list the countries. And he went, I think, to Kenya first, but he's coming here soon.
Well, very much. I think it's been said before, we speak and they listen. But, and you're totally right. I mean, not before time, because a lot of people would have imagined that Charles and Camilla, certainly Charles would have wanted to get down under, certainly in the first few months, if not the first year of his reign. But it hasn't worked out like that. And there's a few reasons. I'm told by people very, very close to the King that he definitely did want to come to Australia, New Zealand, get to the realms as it is. I think it's a bit more than that. It's our good friends and cousins. But, there's a few constraints. I think the government wanted him to go to Europe. I mean, we're still dealing with the bonfire that is Brexit, getting out to our nearest neighbours, France and Germany. However, there is a date in the diary, we understand, that's going to coincide with the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which is in Samoa next October. But there'll be plenty of time to come and see you guys, because it will be 2 years after he took the top job, and I think that's far too long. But no less enthusiasm on the King's side, I reckon.
Well, I'm just excited. As hard as the royal beat is, stick with it, mate, and you will buy your dinner when you eventually come out to Australia as part of that royal tour. Now, also, after the Endgame book, which is sort of weird, incredible noise for a couple of weeks, and then it's fallen like the stone because, surprise, surprise, as soon as you pull at this and as soon as you pull as that, there's not an awful lot there. But, as we know, the Dutch translation of it made the allegation that it was the King and the Princess of Wales that were the ones behind the "what colour will the baby be" racism. The response of Buckingham Palace has been to show them both together.
Well, very much so. I mean, the response has been, the silence rather has been deafening from Buckingham Palace, and I think, they well might it be, because they were trying to get their ducks in a row. I mean, huge furore when that book Endgame dropped, the Dutch translation naming the King and the Princess of Wales at the heart of these racism allegations that we had all the way back in 2021, if you remember, with that Oprah Winfrey interview from the Duchess of Sussex. And, the fallout has been pretty bad, in terms of the palace. But I think it's been even worse for Omid Scobie, because this controversial author has probably bitten off a bit more than he can chew. And I think that even though he's a volley of excuses about not having responsibility for the Dutch translation, trying to throw the Dutch translators under the bus even, it hasn't really washed. And I think that the palace having this show of unity, even though, in palace speak, considering all options, meaning they're looking at the legal case, whether they would want to take it that far. But the show of unity at Buckingham Palace this week, it came at a great time to have the royals all pictured together, the King and Queen, Prince and Princesses of Wales, all together. And I think it really did show that sort of show of unity, the fact that they're moving on from these allegations. And as I say, well, they might do.
Do you think that the yet another push for the royal titles to be removed from Harry and Meghan is going to go far? I know that there's at least one Tory MP who's starting the process. It can be done through the Parliament, but do you think there'd be enough public support eventually for that to happen?
Well, it's one thing there's public support, and that has been, pretty large. I think not only in the UK, but it's around the world now that people are seeing Harry and Meghan for being, a couple of whingers, to put it mildly. Harry's got a very are worth a very big roster of court cases, not only with the British newspapers, but the High Court. He's engaged in a legal battle about his security at the moment. People don't take too kindly for this. You know, there was some goodwill towards Harry. He served the royal family well. He was one of the most popular members. The Invictus Games has been a fantastic achievement for him. But when you actually look at what has been produced in the months and years since they left, it has been sort of a lot of mudslinging. I think people have fallen out of love with the both of them. But that Tory MP, Bob Seeley, who you mentioned over here, he has put together a motion to try and, you know, put forward a process to strip them of their titles. But the issue is that won't happen, not only just with the parliamentarians getting behind it, but the king would have to be behind it as well. And I think, you know, he is a man who wants as less grief as possible. And no matter if Harry is extending an olive branch, if you want to call it that, by way of calling him on his birthday, how gracious. But indeed, you know, sending video messages of his grandchildren that he hasn't seen. But I think the king would try and draw a line under all of this, and just wants anything for a bit of peace and quiet, or even though he hasn't had that of recent weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, also, Prince Harry, for what, the 18th time, is now trying to find a way for the UK taxpayers to pay his security bill.
Oh, very much so. I mean, you know, big case here in the UK. It kicked off this week. There have been lots of legal argument over the past few months, but a 3-day court case. A lot of it behind closed doors, by the way. You know, the courts are saying that due to the security issues at play here, lots of government speak and dealing with the royals, that they wouldn't want the dastardly press delving into it. But we did hear from Harry's lawyers on Tuesday, and this was all about the legal argument, saying that Harry was unfairly treated. It was unjust, a decision to take away his security when he decided to quit the royal family with Meghan back in 2020. And again, you're talking about public sympathy. Well, this is certainly not one of the ways to deal with it, because he's left the royal family. He's made millions and millions of dollars in a very, very short space of time. You know, he's moved into the celebrity circuit. We're seeing Meghan gracing the red carpet over the last couple of weeks, and yet they're still expecting the British taxpayer to pick up the exorbitant bill for his security, and he doesn't want to pay for himself. So you're talking about sympathy. I'm not too sure there's very, very much in terms of from the British public, or I doubt that the courts will find very in his favour. So let's wait and see what happens. But, you know, it's going from bad for worse for Harry at the moment.
Yeah, when it comes to his chances, public sympathy, the Australianism for this is 4/5 of bugger all are his chances. Thank you, Russell. We look forward to talking to you very soon. If we don't talk to you again before the new year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you for everything you do for us and everything you do with the paper as well, mate. Well done.
My pleasure, mate. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and the team. Cheers.